The astronauts have been assigned to push it into its proper path, almost 500 kilometers above the Earth. Walter Mondale is beginning to look unbeatable again. He won the Wisconsin caucuses tonight, an easy victory over Gary Hart. Mondale will pick up about 50 delegates to the Democratic Convention. Hart will get about 20. Frank Church, a former U.S. Senator, died this morning. He was one of the first to speak out against the war in Vietnam, and he fought hard to limit the war in Cambodia and Laos. He became known as a very liberal senator, and conservatives made him a target for defeat in 1980. Frank Church died of cancer at the age of 59. In British Columbia, there are urgent negotiations to end the strike by pulp and paper workers. Tonight, the talks reached a critical stage. Jerry Thompson reports.
Focus of the dispute, a hotel room in downtown Vancouver, where union men played cards this morning, waiting for the next move from management. One of the province's top mediators kept the two sides talking till midnight last night. At noon today, everyone seemed on edge, as if they expected something to break at any minute. 20 pulp and paper mills across BC are shut down, and 12,700 people have defied back-to-work legislation in a dispute that is costing $8 million a day in lost business and $2 million a day in lost wages.
And when you pay the highest wage rates,
management says the unions are asking too much.
We want them to understand that this is a big world that we're competing in. And British Columbia have just about priced themselves out of it.
They want to go back, but they're hurting, and I guess that's the reason. For 9 weeks we've been locked out by the employer, and now the government has come down on top of our head with a sledgehammer and is prepared to impose an agreement, and I think that's horrendous.
The unions say the price of pulp and paper is up, and they want their fair share of the prosperity. It's clear both sides want to go back to work. Earlier this week, they even fired up one of the mills on Howe Sound, north of Vancouver, but only for a few hours. The workers walked off again in a show of solidarity with the 19 other mills that were still holding out for a firm agreement. This afternoon, management and union lawyers met at the BC Labor Relations Board. Management is trying to force the workers back on the job right away, something that's bound to antagonize the unions. But both sides say they want to make their own deal before the BC government imposes a settlement on them. So back at the hotel, the talks continue. Jerry Thompson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Officials from cities and towns from Edmonton to Vancouver are huddled in Jasper this weekend, trying to find some way to get their trains back. As they see it, trains are the key to a $150 million tourist windfall, and they want their share. Steve Andrusiak reports.
In Jasper, the sign on this railway station still reads Vancouver, Jasper, Montreal. But there are no trains that link Jasper with Vancouver anymore. There haven't been for 2 years now. Jasper, Hinton, Edmonton, all of the towns along the rail line from the coast are suffering, because when the Vancouver train stopped coming, so did the Japanese tourists. 75,000 of them.
They would spend easily $2,000, which is purely spending money. I see. And this is on top of accommodation, meals, and buses and whatnot.
This weekend, more than 120 mayors, aldermen, and municipal advisors have come to Jasper to get their trains back.
We feel very strongly about our commitment to the northern portion of the people on the line leading up to Edmonton and beyond. We're here to fight as strongly as any municipality for the reinstatement of that service.
Transport Minister Lloyd Axworthy took one of the weekend trains that still does come here. Today he agrees that the lines need to be reinstated, but would not promise to bring them back.
As far as I'm concerned, if you're going to have a rail passenger system, it has to be a national system, not confined to one region.
Delegates came here to this weekend symposium by train, but before it is through, they will learn exactly what it is like to live in this part of the country, because if they want to be back at work on Monday morning, they will have to either drive or take a bus. There will be no train back to Edmonton. Steve Andrusiak, CBC News, Jasper, Alberta.
Ike Brilt wants a new kidney, or he says he'll kill himself. The Edmonton man ran an ad last month offering $5,000 for a donor. He got his donor, and the kidney is free. Havard Gould explains.
Brilt got more than 200 calls offering kidneys. 75% of the callers didn't want any money, like this man.
It'll give me more than what money could buy.
He doesn't want to be identified, But this man is Brilt's choice. He is healthy and in his mid-30s. He is willing to give a kidney away, even though Brilt is not even a friend, just a casual business acquaintance.
I'm just giving it because I feel like I'm helping him somehow. Somewhere I'm going to be helping him. He's going to have a free life. And just to know that he's going to be happy, you know, I mean, makes me feel good.
At first, doctors wanted nothing to do with Brilt's plans to get a new kidney. It's against policy, they said, to transplant a kidney from one stranger to another, even if no money changes hands. But now they may do those operations.
The transplant itself is dependent on considerations of policy which haven't yet been changed and which will still take a couple of months minimum to change.
Dossiter says Brilt has to be patient, but Brilt says he's ready with a lawyer if it takes too long, or he may take his donor to another country to get the operations done. He's fed up with the waiting and the suffering.
And I don't want no more. I've had it, and that's why I'm doing it, and that's why I'll get my kidney.
Havard Gould, CBC News, Edmonton.
Judy Kravitz may be having the longest apprenticeship in Canadian history. Mordecai Richler's hero has hustled his way through a novel, charmed his way through a movie. Now he's singing and dancing in a musical. It opened tonight in Edmonton. Paul Workman was there.
It was a fancy black tie premiere performance. After all, Duddy is the most expensive musical ever produced in Canada. Mordecai Richler wrote the novel, then the movie script. Now his book is a song and dance show, and it's opening in a town he once compared to a case of acne. Duddy is about greed and ambition and hustle. The 1940s story of a Jewish boy from Montreal conniving to get ahead. So how do you turn that into a musical and still keep the spirit of the novel?
Well, it's not a conventional musical comedy. It is a dark musical. I don't mean there aren't humorous passages in it, as there were in the novel and in the film. But the musical will be faithful to the essence of the novel.
Duddy is $1 million show, and that's a lavish price tag by Canadian standards. It's being produced jointly by Edmonton's Citadel Theatre and a promoter from Montreal. The money is Canadian, but some of the talent isn't. The original songs were written by two Americans, Mike Stoller and Jerry Lieber, who've written for Barbra Streisand, the Beatles, Elvis Presley. Duddy is played by Lonnie Price, an American who's already been to Broadway.
Kravitzville. We could buy that lake.
It's one thing to open a big show in Edmonton, Alberta. It's quite another to get a big hit on Broadway. But with all the money they've spent and the talent they've imported, that's precisely what the promoters of Duddy are hoping will happen. Paul Workman, CBC News, Edmonton.
That's the National for this Saturday night, April the 7th. For CBC News, I'm Peter Mansbridge. Good night.
This is CBC.